Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this morsel of the Red Pill Sports and Entertainment Show over this holiday season. So, first off, really quick, wanted to talk about UFC Fight Night that just passed by and the utter disappointment I had with Kevin Lee. I really expected Kevin to dominate this fight. I really did feel as if he was the next generation of fighter. That being said, I was thoroughly disappointed with his performance. Um, well, he has really good wrestling, he has pretty good jiu-jitsu, and he has really high level striking, boxing in particular. The problem seems to be with Kevin Lee is that he's just not blending these skills very well together. What I saw was a fighter who was fighting in, I guess you could say, modes. He'd go into a boxing mode, and pretty much you knew that you were defending boxing. He would go into a wrestling mode, and pretty much you knew you were defending wrestling. He would go into his jiu-jitsu mode, and pretty much you knew that he was trying to choke, and that was it. And I really feel like, if he's the next generation of fighter, as he's come out and said he is, that, he really needs to start learning how to blend his styles, his modes a lot better, using his striking to set up his takedowns, masking, his takedowns with his striking, masking his strikes with some of his takedowns. I really felt like when he did get Iaquinta down to the ground, I feel like he wasted a lot of time trying to go for a single submission. He became very one-dimensional. The rear naked choke. That's all he was looking for the entire time. Some softening up blows from behind, but those are really not going to work early on in the fight. They're really pitter patter, strikes. He probably needed to come up over onto the top, take the mount, and soften him up from there. And I was just really disappointed to see such a almost like a regressive performance from Kevin Lee from what I've seen from him in the past. It really is back to the drawing board. I did have him winning the fight on my scorecard because of the way they have been scoring. I try to score the way I believe the judges will score the fight, being that, they've been favoring takedowns so heavily. But I wasn't surprised that Iaquinta won. I really wasn't. If you're just looking at the fight, as a fist fight and not an athletic competition, Iaquinta beat him up. That's the long and short of it. Next, really quick, got to get into the Dallas Cowboys laying an egg. Love my Cowboys. I do. People think I don't like Dak Prescott. I like Dak Prescott. He's a great guy. I think that, he's an amazing individual. As a person, I think he's awesome. I like the things that he says and the persona that we have come to know that is Dak Prescott, and I really like him. I really hope he succeeds in this league. That being said, where my issue is that Dak, makes some bad reads at times. He's not an elite quarterback. And people really need to stop putting him in that class. People are talking about, Jerry Jones needs to pay him. Well, depends on what you mean by needs to pay him. He really is not a $35 million, $30 million, $25 million a year quarterback. That's not what he is. He's a mid-tier quarterback, and he should get paid as such, right? I mean, somewhere in the neighborhood of renewing him at 15 to 18 mil is probably what he needs to make on his renewal contract. I'm not saying that a Dak is a dime a dozen, right? I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is you saw the limitations of Dak Prescott in this game. He cannot play from behind, not at this point in his career. And you can't pay him hoping that he's going to develop into a quarterback that can play from behind. Okay. Look at, what kind of bad situation, payroll wise, the Carolina Panthers are in now because they paid Cam so much. Look at the problems that, the Baltimore Ravens were in. They're very lucky that, they got a quarterback that fell to them in this last draft. So, it's a bad idea to overpay for Dak. And even at 18 mil, he'd be making more than what Brady and Breeze made this year. So even Brady and Breeze understand that they need pieces around them, and therefore they don't take a max contract, right? So I just don't think that Dak is worth it. If you look at that very first series of plays, I know everybody's trying to make excuses for Dak, that he was throwing the back shoulder because that was where to throw it. No, it wasn't. I challenge you to rewatch that play, really check it out, and see that Hearns left plenty of space, at least a 2-yard cushion, if not almost a 3-yard cushion, to the sideline for him to throw it out in front of Hearns. There was plenty of real estate out in front of Hearns. He should have thrown it out, kind of a corner fade, more like a front pylon type fade, and Hearns could have caught the ball or at least made a play on the ball. The way he underthrew, the way he threw it to the back shoulder, it made absolutely no sense. Next, you also see later on in the game, there's a particular play where he's throwing the ball to Beasley, and Beasley's on a spot route, so he's stopping in the middle of the field. I believe they're expecting a zone coverage there, so he's stopping in the middle of the field, and everybody's like, well, he couldn't have thrown Beasley ahead of Beasley and thrown him open because he was throwing to the spot. I absolutely agree that that was a spot route. What my problem is Beasley comes open much earlier in the route before Dak throws the ball. Dak was looking that direction. He should have seen the mismatch of a linebacker on Beasley. So since he was already looking that direction, there was no reason for that ball to come out late. And then lastly, you have another throw where he reads, there's a blitz coming off of Beasley. The corner that's on Beasley blitzes Dak. It's later on in the game. He's looking to his left. He should be throwing to the tight end because the tight end does come open. But because he gets into these very comfortable situations with certain players, he has now gotten comfortable with Ezekiel Elliott. He switches his shoulders to the other side. He throws the ball to Ezekiel Elliott short. Zeke gets tackled. Now, that's an okay read, okay? But the better read is with the pressure, with the blitz coming from that side. If you notice, Beasley is running wide open for a touchdown, and it's down the exact same throwing lane that he threw to Zeke, just the next level deep. And that's where I have my issues with Dak, okay, is that it's the big play read that he does not make, okay? I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback, but he's not a great quarterback. He's not even a highly sought after or highly explosive quarterback. I don't know that everybody would agree that Tony Romo was a great quarterback, even though I believe Tony Romo was a great quarterback. That being said, he is not at that explosive level that Romo was by his third year starting. Let's keep in mind, this is Dak's third year starting. By now, Dak should be further along. I'm tired of hearing that it's a learned skill. He's 3 years in. What job do you work at 3 years in where your boss is still making excuses for you that they made for a rookie? All right, guys. Remember, be practical, be purposeful, get filled with a purpose.